Hello, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. We have just started this live webinar featuring finance and STEM careers with our PretX Career Pathway Bootcamps. Today, you have myself. My name is Miss Anne, and we also have Prof. Sue here with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof. Sue.
Hey, nice to be here too.
So we'll just jump right in and get started in the interest of time. So thank you for joining us this evening, this late afternoon in Bangkok. So you guys must have heard about the PretX Bootcamps, Career Pathway Bootcamps now. And we devised these 5-day immersion bootcamp experiences just for you, our high school students, because of this theory. So it's called the 1 in 60 rule. And basically, the 1 in 60 rule says that in aviation, so these are airplanes, which I know you guys have all been on. So over a course of 60 miles that you're traveling on an airplane, if you adjust your direction by just 1 degree, it can have over 1 mile difference in change. I see there's a Wani who has raised her hand. If you have a question, please type it in the group chat, and we'll answer all your questions. Because I'm flashing this screen, so I'm actually not able to look at the questions, so I will probably need Miss Sarah's help just to check on the Q&A box, please. Okay, so the 1 in 60 rule basically says that if you adjust your 1 degree change early on, then over the course of the 60 miles that you're traveling, you will have a huge 1 mile difference in where you end up in your destination. So we want the same for you, our bright students who are going to lead the way in the future for all of us. We want you to make that 1 degree change now or very soon so that as you travel along your 60 miles in your high school, in your university, and then in your careers, we want you to have that 1 mile difference and be closer to exactly where you are meant to be. So that is why we have designed the PretX bootcamps so that you can make that 1 degree change through immersive, hands-on experiences in the workplace, getting to know professionals, experts, mentors in their own environments, and then be guided through all the potential career pathway options that are available to you. So we do this over 5 days, and there are 3 main key learning objectives. The first objective is for you guys to get to go very deep in terms of your career industry knowledge. And for this winter break, we're focusing on number 1, business and finance, and then number 2, STEM. And then for the second goal, we want you to not only grow in your actual knowledge about those industries, but make it very personal to you in terms of uncovering exactly which kind of interest area is the best fit for you. For example, if you're in business and finance, is it in corporate finance? Is it in investment banking? Is it in the public markets? Or is it maybe something in real estate development? All of which we will explore in December during our finance bootcamp, or maybe if it's in STEM, exactly which part of science, math, and engineering and technology that would be the best fit for you. And then, of course, the third main key learning objective is for you to make it truly personal to you, which means that for you to understand, okay, now that you know about the industry and the career pathway and what is the best fit industry area for you, what you should do next in terms of pursuing that career pathway option, not just for university, but also in your general career. So we're Academy Pride. You think you may have heard about us, but we work with bright students just like yourselves to make sure that not only do you figure out how to get into your dream university, studying your dream major, but beyond that, how do you figure out what is your passion? What is your interest area? How do you carve out the ultimate career pathway, of which, of course, university is just one step along that long journey. So my name is Miss Ann Kim. I'm the founder of Academy Prêt, and I started Academy Prêt 8 years ago now after a long career in finance. So I am Korean, but I grew up all over. I was born in Korea. I grew up in Hong Kong. I grew up in Bangkok, Thailand, and then I grew up in Singapore. And after that, when I graduated high school, I went to study in the US at University of Pennsylvania. So growing up, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I always said I wanted to be a doctor. But actually, when I went to Penn and I went in as a bioengineering major, I discovered my love for finance. And so I took a dual degree, so 2 degrees in 4 years. So I added a second degree at Wharton, which is a very famous business school, undergrad business school at Penn. So when I graduated from Penn, I had a bioengineering degree and a finance degree. And I basically wanted to combine those two fields. And I started my career as a healthcare investment banker working at UBS and JP Morgan in New York City and San Francisco. So I had such an amazing time. And after that, I had a long career as a healthcare investor, investing into healthcare companies like hospital groups, pharmaceutical companies, biotech and medtech companies. But then I left 8 years ago because I was so inspired by what I learned at Harvard Business School, which is that in order to be successful, it's not just about your grades or how you do academically, but really about bringing all your other skill sets to bear in terms of your leadership, communication, how you influence other people, how you get people to come around to your ideas in the workplace. So, in order to work on these ideas and to create these kind of opportunities for students, I left the finance world and that's how I started Academy Prêt, so that we can open more doors for students like yourselves to go experience industry, to immerse yourselves, and then also not just excel academically, but also to equip yourselves with different skill sets that you need to be successful in your, not just your university, but your ultimate career pathway journey. So that's a little bit about me. But let me introduce to you. I'm very excited to introduce to you Professor Sue. Professor Sue, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Would you
having
like to?
me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And so I will be leading the finance boot camp in December 16 to 20. And Prof. Sue, you will be leading the STEM boot
Sure,
camp.
the STEM one.
Yes, exactly. I
So
mean,
let me jump right in and
yes, please tell us
tell
a little bit
everybody a
more
little bit
about
about myself.
yourself. Yes.
Sure. After hearing exciting and like long career, which is filled with a lot of experience and inspiring story from Anne, I just want to add on for my side. I joined Anne because I feel it's very important to nurture the younger, like a lot of young people don't know exactly where they want to land later. I have opportunity to kind of spearhead and study in the same field from bachelor to PhD in the food engineering, which is I find very interesting. Both study in Thailand, in the US. I pursue my PhD in biological system engineering at University of California, Davis, and have been working in the university in Thailand for about 12 years after graduations as a director of food engineering practice school program. So basically, I've worked in higher ed quite a lot, and also experiencing working with the private sectors, industrial partners in Thailand. So I resigned from university 2 years ago. So following Anne, want to inspire others and also working in different fields. So right now I'm adjunct lecturer at Assumption University and also a part of the Kasetsat University to help young entrepreneur to successful in business, not only in Thailand, but internationally. So I joined a great program, which is a platform to help startup in agri-food tech in Thailand to expand their markets to international markets and be working with partners in Singapore. to help springboard the startup in Thailand. And
Amazing.
besides that, yeah, I also working with um organization in Thailand. For example, the Food Science and Technology Association of Thailand and Thai Young Scientist Academies. So the aim of this organization is not to excel in academic, but also to nurture the next generations. So I want to inspire the next generation of scientists. I want to see more of the young scientists in Thailand. And hopefully this program can help you materialize your dreams of becoming scientist, technologist, or even entrepreneur. I myself have opportunity to study entrepreneurship, just a short course at UC Davis, where I like enter competition for business plan competition. So I see that a lot of time being the scientist, you struggle with how to communicate with people. So I try to bridge that in for the STEM boot camp that you learn the science, but also the way to communicate science.
Amazing. Amazing. What a treat. And I think what a treat to have you with your wealth of experience across Thailand, Singapore, and the US as well, across science, technology, engineering, food sciences, and entrepreneurship and business. Amazing. Thank you, Prof. Sue.
Sure.
Shall I move on and then we can come back to the STEM schedule?
Sure, please.
Okay. All right. So everybody, by the way, if you have questions about not just the bootcamp, but about potential career pathways in STEM and also in finance, business, entrepreneurship, please, this is, I think, a wonderful opportunity to ask your questions today. So please put your questions in the chat box and we'll address them at the end of this session. So we're very excited to present to you more details about the fantastic Prêt bootcamp that we have planned for you this winter break. This is actually our fifth edition of the Prêt bootcamp. So we have been running them since 2023, actually 2022. And these are just examples of some of the students who have joined us in the past and have attended. If you see the picture on the bottom left, that's actually in the cadaver lab. It's a real skeleton. I was actually too scared to go in, so you don't see my picture there, but our healthcare and medicine bootcamp students loved it. One of the students actually said that was the first time I held a human heart in my hands. So that was very scary to me, but very inspiring to the right person who wants to go into medicine. And then in the middle, you have three students doing a debate around business and finance. And then also on the right, you have our Impact magazine. So if you go onto our website, you can download the Impact magazine, which basically showcases, highlights the 5 days of the bootcamp that students have done previously. So if you're curious about what experiences for students have been like in the past, please feel free to download the Impact magazine. It's on our website. And also you can go into our Instagram, Academy Prêt Instagram. There are lots of short, fun reels following the students over the course of their 5 days. And also on our YouTube, we have a few videos of students talking about their experience as well. So please feel free to experience it and hear from the students themselves. But let me reveal to you our finance career bootcamp to be held this December 16th to 20th in Bangkok. So for finance and business and entrepreneurship. So over 5 days, this is what you will experience. And of course, the schedule is subject to a few other changes based on our knowledge partners' availability and final confirmation, but you will have something similar like this, basically. So on the first day when you join us, you will come join us at Gaythorn Tower, which is our headquarters for the week. So both STEM and finance will meet there. So you will come on Monday and you will start with a masterclass, interactive masterclass exploring the entire world of finance, where you will basically get the download of what finance is, how it works, how capital moves around the world. what are the different subsectors within finance and who are basically all the different types of experts that we will meet throughout the week. So it'll get you basically the base to get started for the week. After lunch, we will have a fintech session where we will meet with experts who will talk about how financial technology is disrupting and changing the future of how finance is conducted around the world. And then the next day on Tuesday, we will have actually a banking day. So we will meet with investment bankers, corporate bankers, who will talk about what bankers do, what is the function of a bank, what are the different types of banks, and you will actually get to decide if investment banking, which I had done before as well, if investment banking is as glamorous and is as interesting for you as you actually think it is. So we'll find out. And then after lunch, we have a session on venture capital. So venture capital is a type of private investments. So you will get to meet with a venture capital company and also learn about how they make decisions on making investments and choosing where to park their money. And then on Wednesday, we have a full day, exciting, fun day planned for you at Siam Piwat, actually at Icon Siam. So if you are residing in Bangkok, you would know you cannot miss Icon Siam. It's one of the biggest developments, multi-purpose developments in Bangkok, right? But not only do you get to actually have a private tour of Siam Piwat, but you will actually get to hear from one of the senior business development executives from Siam Piwat about the real estate financing environment. How do you finance a mega project that costs billions of dollars? What is the process involved in making a mega project like Icon CM? And also, how do you grow from there? What else is next? You can ask some tough questions to our expert from Siam Piwat. And then during the day as well, you are actually going to do an exciting revenue growth challenge where you will be tasked with some challenging questions from Siam Piwat, and you will actually be conducting live research on premises, and then you will actually be getting into groups and doing a presentation back to our senior executive from Siam Piwat. Very exciting and challenging, right? And then Thursday, we focus on the capital markets in the morning. So we'll take you to the Stock Exchange of Thailand, where we will get a lesson on basically what stocks are, how stocks trade, how do you make money from stocks, how do you invest your money in stocks, how do you pick the right stocks. And then we will also do a very exciting simulation called the Trading Challenge, where you will battle it out with fellow students to figure out which stocks to pick, and then we will always have announce a winner who's made the most amount of money based on the stock simulation. In the afternoon, we'll probably be joined by an economist from the World Bank who will talk about what it's like to think about finance from a world economy perspective and from basically a very macro perspective. On Friday morning, then we will have in the morning a session about how to get each of you to be millionaires before you turn 30. So personal
I wish I could
finance.
join that before now.
So we'll go through lots of personal finance techniques and how you think about approaching money, savings, and investments to get to your personal finance goals. And then in the afternoon, we always wrap with the graduation ceremony and student final presentations because for us, it's very important. As you see here, every day at the end of the day, we do self-reflections. Self-reflections are very important. And then at the end of the week on Friday afternoon, we're going to wrap it all up and we're going to actually bring all the concepts together and really sit down and figure out what is right for you, what are you passionate about, and what should you do next in terms of your career planning steps and your academic steps. So that's it. That's what we have for Finance Career Bootcamp. And we know many students have gone through our Finance Career Bootcamp several rounds of it already. So we're very excited to have our next edition of Finance Career Bootcamp. Now we are so excited also to have our first STEM Career Bootcamp. Over to you, Prof. Sue.
Sure. So I think it's also eye-opening for a lot of students to understand like what else they can do after graduations, right? But before that, they have to like, as you mentioned earlier, it's like if they decide right now, it's mean the next 4 years they have to be in that certain setup. So I
Mm,
just want to like have a glimpse of what it's like to be the scientist for a day or two during this STEM career boot camp. Since I'm from the food industry sectors and also engineering perspective, I find like in Thailand, what is good about Thailand is like a lot of people talking about food, right? So why don't we do a deep dive in the food industries and understanding the digital transformations and all the robotics and digital world. So I think we'll start the day like from Monday, understand a little bit about opportunity in STEM and innovations. So what is like to be working and what are the things that you need to learn before entering this um, curriculums. And then I think what is also important about STEM is like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is like the thinking skills, right? Scientific thinking and like a lot of times involve doing projects. So the tools that often used right now is design thinking and the scientific inquiries, how you set up a project, and if you want to develop some product or service for someone with scientific thinking process behind, it might come with a product that potentially be something solution for the world is also leading to startup at the end, right? So the first day is to give you introductory to the STEM and the thinking process behind scientist or engineer. And for Tuesday, we are exploring a day as a food scientist or biotechnologist at Assumption University, which also offering the courses and some workshop that you can have hands-on experience like food chemistry, food microbiology, and also a challenge for you to do some product development and competitions at the end. So basically, you can have exposure to the lab setting and also try to come up with some fun and presenting something at the end.
mm.
And I'll show you some picture later on about the previous workshop that Assumption offered to high school students to have a day after food scientist or biotechnologist. And then on Wednesday, I think it's also good opportunity to explore a day in like digital and robotics world. In Thailand, we have a school at KMUT, there's the program, like renowned program called Institute of Field Robotics, which also having a lot to offer in terms of um, building robots.
Thursday, we have the factory R&D center visit, guided tour by Dr. Sue herself, and we're going to actually go behind the scenes of a food manufacturing facility and research center and see what it takes. I think it's so interesting on Thursday, especially, of course, all other days too, but Thursday is so interesting because it's a culmination of science over the last few days. But then on Thursday, we see how science is actually applied to actual real world industry and actual, like a business, applied to a real business, and how science can drive real sales revenue and consumers actually consuming that science technology. I think that's so interesting. And I think it would be a fantastic opportunity to explore how STEM principles, science, math, engineering, all these principles can be applied to make an actual food and beverage industry, which we don't think about, right? Because it's just we go to a restaurant and we eat. But how can we actually use science and technology and math to make these kind of businesses even more efficient, even more high tech, and the industry of the future? Because as we know, our environment is being really affected by greenhouse gases, by all the overconsumption. And then so I do think that we still need to think about food technology and how we can leverage science in things that we don't even think about, like food and beverages and drinks, as we go forward into the future. So I think Thursday is going to be such an eye-opening experience. And then on Friday, we come back to our headquarters at Gaysorn Tower, where in the morning we're going to have a continuation of the Monday afternoon workshop. So on Monday afternoon, Prof. Sue was talking about how we're going to do a workshop on scientific thinking, scientific thought process, and design thinking. And then Friday morning, it's going to be a continuation of that part two, where we focus on scientific communication and presentation skills, because I think communication is so different, especially when you have to present so much data, so much research, and so much of the numbers. So how do you make sense of all those numbers using statistics, and using clear ways to, communicate your ideas, your research findings, your data, and your conclusions to an audience, so that you can take your ideas forward. So I think that's such an important critical skill of anyone who is a future scientist. And then in the afternoon, we will combine and we will, of course, do the final presentations by students and the graduation ceremony. And again, same for STEM bootcamp students as it is for our finance bootcamp students. We want you to really think about what was the most interesting for you during the week. And based on what you experienced and you learned, what's the best fit for you? What is your most passion area? And how can you take it forward from here, in terms of your next career steps and your next education and academic goal steps as well? Prof. Sue, welcome back.
Thank you, and for jump right in. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. So while we were waiting for you to return, I talked about how exciting Thursday would be, because it would be a culmination of not just science, but application of science into a real industry, into a
Right, right.
food and beverage industry that we probably don't even think about, because we just think about just eating and drinking, but there is
Right. So you
science
understand the
behind it.
science behind what you eat or drink or what make things that you like on your plate. So
Yes.
I hope to get you a glimpse behind the scene of the food industries, which involve not only food scientists but other STEM career as well. So I think there will be a quiz for you. What
Mm,
are the STEM career happening
mm,
to work in the food industry?
amazing, amazing. And look forward to hearing more about your stories as well in your decision pathway as a food scientist and engineer yourself.
Yeah, love to share. And I think on Friday, as I mentioned earlier, that oftentimes you find scientists cannot communicate well. And if you aim to be a startup, like right now at Robotech, actually I just want to touch base on that one quite a bit. Like after a visit to KMUTT, one of the former student, and not student, but former professor of KMUTT decided to start a business, to be a startup, to help farmers in Thailand to start agri robotics startups. And we will get to see the startup that spin off from university. And along that, a lot of graduates from KMUTT also work in that startup. So I think it's a good opportunity to interview, not only
Mm,
learn from them, but interview them. How do they make decisions rather than working for the big corporates, start a career in
mm.
startups. So
Amazing, amazing. Yeah.
that's a plan.
Yes,
And
sounds
and
good.
Friday communication workshop, and then wrapping up the day. I just want to see your reflection and how do you put your learning into presentation. I think it's similar to the financial one.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sounds good. So I know these
And
are next we have the example pictures. Ooh,
mm-hmm.
let me, okay, there we go.
Yes, just a glimpse of like a day as a food scientist. So you get to experience different lab station on food chemistry, food microbiology, get to use many cool fancy equipment in the lab in the university setting, and probably get to learn from the student there as well about their project that working on that a lot of students are working on developing new product like plant-based protein or like food for elderly or for kids. So different kind of projects going on. So
Mm,
just a glimpse at Assumption University.
mm,
And then next, also having some highlight from King Mongkut University. So basically, there will be 5 stations that you visit. So it will be avatar mobile robots. So you can see remote control of things, right? You don't have to be in the industry anymore. Like in the shop floor, you can remotely access um, the equipment. And I think I will touch base on that a little bit for the food industry perspective as well. And we are also walk through the smart factories where you can also controlling different station, observing different performance of the equipment like factory 4.0 concept. And then the third station would be augmented realities. You have like Google, Goggle, those kind of things that you explore different places, but now you kind of like merging. You have like Pokemon, a game on your mobile that you catch
mm.
Pokemon in the park, those kind of things that also involve in the real world and virtual world together, how you can empowering the like productivities or some learning experience through blended virtual world and actual world together. And then there's a concept of cobot. This day you work together with robots, so collaborative robots that we
Oh,
also like be explore in this. And I think wrapping up with the fun things like in School of Robotics worldwide, not only in Thailand, they usually have like a year competition of soccer robots. So the student get to build a robot to compete in the soccer game. So we'll experience some kind of this at KMUTT.
amazing. That sounds like so much fun. And it's so actually, last time I used to watch movies about, robots being around us, but actually robots have already started to be around us. I've also seen like the cobot, the collaborative robot, like the one that makes like coffee.
Mm-hmm. And if you've been in like many restaurants in Thailand or all over the world, you will see the server no longer a human, sometimes it's a robot, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. So the new wave is upon us already. So I think it'll be so
Mhm.
interesting to explore robotics and AI around us. All
So
right.
that's just some example that I try to prepare for you to get a glimpse of what we are planning for you.
Amazing. So exciting. So definitely, if you're interested in engineering and sciences, and technology, this is, I think, gonna be so eye-opening for you. So yes, if you're interested to sign up, please, you can just scan the QR code and sign up for our program. This QR code will also lead you to our bootcamp page where you can watch videos of past sessions and student stories. Download the Impact Magazine, which is the written format of what happened during the last few bootcamps. And yes, so please feel free to join us. If you are a resident in Thailand, there is a special pricing for you. This is for those who already live in Thailand. Now, if you are coming from another country to Bangkok to join us, don't worry, we have accommodation option for you. So you are all taken care of from the minute you land to the Friday when our program finishes. You will be staying at our headquarters hotel, which is just 2 buildings away from our main place where we have our Monday and our Friday sessions. And you will be also staying with our PretX Bootcamp team. So I will be staying there as well. So parents, if you are curious about the accommodation, please send us a message and we're happy to share with you more. But we've had students on our accommodation staying with us. And of course, safety is first and foremost for our students. But also beyond safety, I think it's always been a very good opportunity for students to really bond with each other and to learn from each other and to have extra kind of guidance from our team as well. So there's an accommodation option as well if you are flying in from any other place other than Bangkok. And then finally, I want to also announce that we have special scholarships available for Thai local students. We would love more diversity because I think diversity also helps with exchange of ideas and also your experience working with people who are different from you, which is the real world when you get out there, when you start your careers. So we're looking forward to simulating that for you during our boot camps. Yes, so if you are a local Thai student going to a local school in Thailand, there are up to 80-90% scholarships available. So please scan and get in touch with us and we'll guide you on how to apply for the scholarship. Okay, so I think that's all that we prepared for you for today. Let me just stop share for 1 second and see if there are any questions from the audience. Okay, any questions? We are open to any questions about the program that you have right now, or if you have any questions about career pathways, how you should think about finance, business, entrepreneurship, or STEM, please feel free to ask now. Okay, I don't see any questions. I'll give you
Okay, that's
guys.
one, I think.
There's one. Okay. Thank you, Wani, for your question. What are the most in-demand careers in STEM right now? Oh, good question. And how do you see this
Wow.
evolving in the future? Wow, this one for you, Prof. Su.
Asking me, I would say, because like it's depend though, but like let's say asking me as I'm in Thailand, I'm working, I think agri-food is the area that Thailand has strength in.
Mm,
And I think like for upcoming, I think still food scientists or biologists still find a spot, and also digital. I would say like the two trend now, green transformation and digital transformations. Anything involved in like sustainabilities, environmentals will be
mm,
definitely a career in the futures. I can see someone doing carbon credit evaluation
mm,
in the future. There'll be in big like new careers. I'll see data scientists, which is not much in the past, right? Data analyst, data engineer. So those are the area that you'll find like in demand. And that seems to be a cross-cutting kind of technologies, but you need to be in a certain field as well. You have
mm,
to have broad perspective of science and technology, but in depth in a certain area. So
mm,
as I mentioned myself, I'm in the food industry. So I find that there's a lot of like STEM career in food industry. I just reviewed the answer a little bit. Like you can have electrical engineering, you can have mechanical engineering, you can have food scientists, you can have also someone from finance, like to work on the budgeting in the food industries,
yeah.
marketing, environmental specialists, or someone working with regulatory body, because there's a lot of rule and regulations involved in the safety, food safety, right? International trades, logistics, and supply chain management, lots of things that you can like dreams of. But then like I think um working in the food area is kind of fun. You do a lot of research that you can eat, so that's why I find this quite fun. I did internship in one of the big ice cream factory in Thailand. which
Wow,
I can eat
super.
free ice cream every day. So that's a fun thing to do.
I love it. Who could have thought the science and technology of ice cream?
Yeah. And work
Mm.
with Unilever back then, like for internship for ice cream wall ice cream.
Oh, amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
so amazing. And I think it's so interesting about how like food has been evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We even have commercially right now, like the Beyond Meats, like alternative proteins, other sources of proteins other than animals.
Mm-hmm.
So and sustainable way to produce these proteins and other foods, I think is so interesting. I mentioned this just now when we were having some tech difficulties, but I was talking about how like it's so interesting in how sustainable environmental sustainability issues are so critical right now. And of course, like food production is part of that. I read a statistic about how uh like cow farming or farming of beef
Mm-hmm.
actually is quite harmful to the environment. And so it'll be interesting to see how the food industry evolves in the next 10-15 years.
Yeah, but you'll see that like the same old way of raising protein still there, but then how the new alternative protein play a role in this i- like coming years, I think also interesting.
Mm,
And I would say sustainability is the issue. You see climate change yesterday.
yeah.
Everybody, every place like affected by climate change
Mm,
and agricultural practice got affected quite a lot. So in
mm,
Singapore itself, they have the big campaign for food security. It's like
mm.
30 by 30. Singaporean government invest
Yes.
a fair bit in how to make themselves sustain. Like 30% of food production should be in the country.
Yeah.
How important is that? That's why I'm talking about food because like when COVID hit, a lot of people affect. In the past, we rely on import and export of food, right? Luckily, Thailand is one of the top like 15 of exporting uh country of the food. Like we aim to be kitchen of the world kind of things. So that's
Mm,
why I still see the government um also trying to have the policy toward future food because I myself also sharing the strategic agenda team for the future food. That's why I kind of emphasize on the food sectors.
no, it's definitely critical, and I think it's something that is so like multifaceted and so interesting for
Hmm.
students. And I think also what you said earlier about career pathway was actually so interesting to me when you said that you have to have broad vision, but specific expertise. So maybe something technical that you have, like whether it's as an engineer, as a food scientist, or as a biotechnologist, for example, or even actually a financial person because
Sure.
even coming from finance background myself and bioengineering and finance, I've seen
Hmm.
over the last 10-15 years how the options for your career has evolved. When I started my career, there was no such thing as an investor in sustainability or an investor in food technology or an investor worrying about carbon credit offsets. But now this is like there's a whole,
A big thing
a
now.
big, yes, in the financial industry itself, focusing on how do we put capital, put money to behind this to support this movement. And so, of course, you need the scientists, you need the engineers, mathematicians, but you also need like financing of that as well. Maybe we should do a combined session together on
And
this.
actually, I kind of like working with ADB, like Asian
Mm,
Development Bank at the moment. And they have the ADB Venture, which is a investment arm
mm.
of the bank, which also focuses on impact investment.
Oh,
So there's
yes.
opportunity for a lot of agri and food startup. That's why
Mm,
I kind of merging in this topic quite a bit because I think looking forward, you not only understand the science, but how to apply the science to solve the problems.
mm,
And not any problem is like any problem that we're talking about food, about environment is the world problem, right?
It's
Not only
real.
Thailand problems.
No, it's real, yes, and it affects
It's
the
real
world. It
problem. It's
affects all
impact
of us.
everyone.
Mm,
Right. Right.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
if you can
relevant.
solve the problem here, you can solve the problem everywhere in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So meaningful and significant, I think.
Mhm.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for the
your
questions
question,
anyway.
Wani. Yeah. Let me see if any other questions. Um, one other, I have another question for Miss Ed. I think it's so interesting that you had a career shift from finance to education. What's one mistake you made in your entrepreneurial journey, and what did you learn from it? And then there's a question for Prof. Sue as well. I can really tell that you are really passionate and interested in food. What inspired you to pursue a career in food, environment, and STEM in general, and what keeps you passionate about it? Amazing. Okay,
Mhm.
great questions. Um, I'll go first, perhaps. So,
Mhm.
um, yes, I made a shift from finance to education, as I mentioned earlier, really out of passion because I wanted to open doors of opportunity for students because perhaps I think I felt that I wasn't quite sure in my journey what was right for me. And I just followed what was the most hot trend at the time, which was finance and investment banking. Um, but you know, as I shifted from finance to education and entrepreneurial journey, gosh, I'm constantly making mistakes. I'm always making tons and tons of mistakes, small, medium, and large. What I learned from it and what kind of mistakes, I mean, everything, right? I think the entrepreneurial journey, by definition, is one of trial and error.
Mhm.
So yes, perhaps they are mistakes, but I think you have to make those decisions given amongst that information that you have and the choices that you have. But I wouldn't call them they mistakes are only mistakes if you don't pivot and you don't
Or
try
learn from it.
again.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I think if you try to learn from every decision that you make and you try to figure out what else you could have done better or how to change the process, change the system, um, change resources or what support you have to try to um, move on and move forward, even if it's a small step. I think that keeps that's what keeps the engine running. So yeah, in short, and I'll pass over to Prof. Sue.
Okay, so I'll give like a long answer to the questions
Mm,
regarding. So I think I'll address both from this one and from the next questions. What advice you have for a student who unsure about which STEM career path to take? So I'll take both and I'll answer in my answer now. So my journey toward food engineering is I start from unknown as well. I only know that I love math and I want to pursue engineering career. Don't know yet which engineering one, like the many engineering, but I just know that I love math and calculations. I want to. I hate biology back then. Like I hate biology back then. So
Look
take my
where you
note.
are now.
Hate
Who would have
biology,
known?
love engineering. So maybe I start and I enter university quite young. Just a side note that I skipped 2 years high school. So I kind of like really young. I lucky to have my dad guidance through like, okay, if you want to pursue engineering, why don't you consider either agricultural engineering or food engineering? Because in Thailand, these
Mm,
industry are quite like booming and more
mm,
opportunity for women.
mm,
Because if you are working in civil engineering, no chance for a woman to stand out in civil engineering, right?
mm,
Or mechanics. A lot of engineering career demand physical or work, or you working in petrochemical industry, a lot of guys, right? And you have to work long hour late at night. Safety is some concern. So I take my dad advice entering university. aiming for either food or agricultural engineering. And I think what inspired me is like the internship that I mentioned earlier. I don't know whether I love it, but then when I experienced working in the food industry, I really enjoy it. I see how could I apply my engineering knowledge
Mm.
to the real setting and solving the problem, like increase the productivity, increase safety, make the food better. And that's why I kind of continue to pursue the degree because in my bachelor degree, I study as mechanical engineering, but focusing on food mechanics. So
Mm.
I have the professional license for mechanical engineering in Thailand.
Wow.
So my field of study then I don't understand much about the food itself, but more of the mechanics behind the mass production of food.
Mm.
And then when I pursue master degree, I have the decision whether I want to do MBA like you
Mm.
and
Mm.
interesting in the business world.
Mm.
But then it's a pity that I left engineering too early if I choose
Mm.
those. So I
Mm.
pursue master degree in food engineering at KMUTT,
Mm.
where they come from different angle. I think food is multi disciplinary area. You not only understand about the mechanics, but also like from um the process wise, because like food engineering at KMUTT is focusing on like it's diversified from chemical engineering. So you work on reaction, you work on like how to optimize a process
Mm.
perspective. And then
Mm.
when I pursue PhD at UC Davis, I got to work with a lot of friends who come from and
Chef
want
background.
chef
Wow.
background.
Mm.
So UC Davis, like because in California it's like world food, right? And a lot of startup in food area also like from that area. You have
Mm.
viticulture enology, which is wine production,
Mm.
breweries. So I have friends who's like winemaker, beer makers, chefs. So I get to understand the food science
Mm.
and back to biology. I had
Mm.
to revisit the
Mm.
basic biology
Mm.
bachelor degree class when I
Back
study
to
PhD.
bio.
Mhm.
Mm.
So don't hate anything, exploring, and then you'll find the integration. If you understand only one side of the story, you cannot make the integration of like the solution complete, right? So
Yeah.
for engineering aspect, you have to understand the food safety concern, the quality concern, and performance. And
Mm.
basically back to the finance, how to make the profit out of the production.
Yes. It's so interesting how you mentioned how all the pieces all have to come together. So even if you
Mhm.
are an engineer, it's not just narrowly only understanding engineering, but food science, bio, finance, everything else, and putting it all together ultimately.
Right, and it cannot be complete within 4 years, to be
Mm.
fair,
Mm.
right?
The long
So
journey. Mm.
a long journey, and you learn by only by immerse yourself in the actual setting.
Mm.
Learning in the classroom is one thing. I would encourage not to be like discouraged from if you decide to study on one thing, try to, I would say, enjoy the process, understand the thinking.
Yeah. So the scientific thinking, design thinking.
Right,
Mm.
right. And then using that scientific thinking or critical thinking skills to questions come come up with a hypothesis in any aspect of things that you have to experience and
Mm.
learn how to learn. I would say learning about STEM is learn how to learn. Right
Learning
now
how
you
to
have
learn.
chat GPT, you have a lot of solution provider,
Mm.
but how to make decision whether this source of information is trust or
Trustworthy, yes. And then,
or it's
yes,
a
yeah.
misconcept.
Or okay, so you can have all the answers in front of you, but which step do you take next? I
Right.
think that's that real thinking process, critical thinking that you still need to learn, despite the tools that we have now with AI and generative learning.
I would say like logic behind the thinking. It's very important for STEM education.
The logic.
So
Yeah.
you become more logical. And then if you want to switch career, you always can use what you learn from bachelor degrees in STEM area to further
Absolutely.
advance in your career.
Absolutely. I'm an example of
You
that.
are
I
also
studied
example of that.
bioengineering, but that critical thinking, that scientific thinking process, that inquisitive curiosity to understand, the subject matter, that really all helped me when I switched over to finance and then also to entrepreneurship as well, because it's all about troubleshooting, problem solving, figuring out the solution and figuring out what to pivot to next and how to solve the problem at hand.
Mhm, mhm,
So there was a last question here for Prof. Sue. What advice do you have for students who are unsure about which STEM career path to take? You did allude a little bit to that just now. You said
mhm.
go learn outside of the classroom to you said try everything because it's not just one narrow pathway, but you have to bring all the different concepts together. Are
And I
there
would say,
other?
like, on top of that, like,
Hmm,
STEM camp is something that help a lot because, like, this day, not only this program that we are organizing here, but many university
hmm,
offer the class, offer the workshop, and like, in Thailand, we have National Science Museum, which also featuring the STEM career exhibitions. So I think often you try to expose yourself to different setting and try. Let's
hmm,
say there's a lot of students who want to pursue medical career.
hmm.
And then when they have internship in the hospital, they realize that, oh, I'm scared of blood. I don't
I
want to work in
know.
this
They say, "Oh,
setting,
it's
right?
not for me."
So to that extent, I would say try to expose yourself and see whether you like it or not. You
Hmm.
never know until you learn and
Until you
kind of fully
experience
immerse
it
yourself
yourself.
in, yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think that's a great way to end because we've come up to our reserved time slot. But thank you everyone so much for joining. I think it's a right place to end because we really encourage you to get out there, go experience what's out there through boot camps like this and others. So that you can immerse yourself in industry and really see the exciting innovation that's happening out there so you can be inspired by it and then also figure out what inspires you and ignites that spark within you and gets you really excited because like Prof Sue was saying it's a long journey and there's a lot to experience and a lot to learn and we just want you to get started as soon as possible. So thank you
And hope to see
everybody
you in the
for joining
camps.
us. Yes, and we'll see you at the boot camp. Both of us will see you. Any questions, please send us a message and we'll guide you through it. Thank you, Prof. Sue, so much for joining us this
Thank
evening.
you, Anne.
Thank you so much for your insights and also for your career advice. What a treat.
Sure.
Thank you very much. See you guys next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.